Okay, I'm going to continue. I'm having all kinds of little imps and devils and things jump into my photo booth here. I was speaking before my video was stopped about the Department of Justice supervising federal law enforcement. We can talk about how our Department of Justice is working these days. This is headed by William Barr, our Attorney General of the United States. And we may get into one of those conversations. That would be a very good conversation to have, because in the First Amendment, you have the right to go out and peacefully protest. That's one of your rights in the First Amendment. Does the government have the right to come in and spray you with tear gas if you're just standing there peaceably protesting? The answer to that is absolutely not. No way, no how. It's unconstitutional, but it's been happening. So it's something to discuss. We move on to slide 12. When I say it's something to discuss, I would like to discuss it in a non-political manner, because this is not a politics course, this is a law course. Politics can get into law from all different angles, and that is not what I want to teach you, okay? Common law is one of the two ways that judges make law. The other is called the law of equity. Now, these are important principles and concepts for you to understand. So if you have any questions about it, we're going to leave those questions for the discussion board. Common law is also called case law. So this is how it is defined in our textbook. Common law is, quote, a body of legal precedent established through prior court decisions. Judges create common law when no statutory law covers the issue before them. Later, judges rely on those precedents for guidance in future legal disputes based on similar circumstances. So that goes along with this whole digital law topic that I was mentioning, that if you commit a crime in the real world, not online, and then you go, and there is a penalty for it, let's say. You know you've broken a law, you suffer the consequences. However, let's say you go online and you commit that same crime, but there isn't a law against it online. Ooh, wow. Somebody may pick you up and take you into the court on some kind of charge, and the judge may look at it and say, you know, we don't have a law just like this, but it's similar to another law. It's similar to a law that we've been using that does not pertain to digital space. So we're going to make it pertain to digital space, and thus a new law comes about. But that's the common law. Those are, you know, when you watch TV and you see a courtroom and you see a lawyer winning the case, that side just sort of set another little precedent, okay, that we could go back and use that same court case in another case as a precedent, something you will also learn about. So a little bit more on common law. So most common law is made in the areas of what we call torts and contract law. A tort, memorize this, is a civil wrong that causes harm. Just remember those words. It's a civil wrong that causes harm or injury to someone. That's a tort. These act as grounds for lawsuits, normally litigated at the state level. If you violated my rights, if you trespassed on my property, walked right by a no trespass sign and went onto my property and rode your ATVs, you were violating my property rights. I would take you to court, and this would be considered a tort. You hurt me. You hurt me in some way. Okay, I may not be able to say that you hurt me in dollars, but maybe you ran over my grass there, and you made your ATV made tire tracks all over my grass, and it doesn't look nice. Okay, somebody will say, well, there's a value to that. You have to go in there and clean it up and fix it and all that sort of thing. Okay, a contract, on the other hand, is an agreement between two or more people, and contracts are enforceable by law, whether you write them down or say them to each other. And this is going to be very important later in this class. You're going to hear about situations where somebody didn't write down a contract. The parties did not sign it. They spoke it. You can be held to a spoken promise, a spoken contract. I want you to know that for sure. All right, we're on 14 now. Torts. What are some of the torts in digital media law? Well, they are libel. We very rarely ever say slander anymore. Libel is when you defame somebody in print, but now slander is considered the same thing. Slander used to be when you defame somebody or say something bad about somebody, just saying it, your voice, you talk it. But now, libel is libel. That's defamation. Invasion of privacy. We were talking about you walking over my grass, maybe going up to my doorbell, and maybe you see the door is slightly ajar and you walk in. Okay, you are really invading my privacy. Intentional infliction of emotional distress and misappropriation of trade secrets. We're going to get deeply into these things, so I don't want to belabor it right at this moment. Then we have something else. Click to sign contracts connected to the internet or software use. Probably most of you have been on Facebook. Probably most of you have a page on Facebook. When you first signed up for Facebook, you were presented with a contract. And it was very long, and it was full of legalese, and you were bored, and you didn't want to read the whole thing, and you didn't have 30 minutes to read the whole thing. So you just clicked, I agree. Okay? You just signed a contract. And when you did that, especially if you didn't read it, you just signed away your rights to Facebook. And you have no idea what's in there. So you really should read those. I try to read the whole thing. I really do. If I see that it's going to be an issue and it's going to take me a half hour and I have other things I have to do, I say, okay, I'll do this later. Do this another time. Okay? Because what if you find out that they've done something wrong to you and you want to sue them, but you can't sue them in Alabama. The only thing you can do is sue them in California. Now start to add up your costs right now. You have to fly to California. You have to hire an attorney in California. They're not cheap in California, okay? They're not going to give you Alabama prices. Then you start to think, wow, they did something wrong to me and it hurt me, but I don't think it's worth me going after them, all right? Read the contract. Now, in common law, a party who has been harmed can file suit against the perpetrator, turning to the courts for redress. Or redress is when you ask the court to make you whole. I've been damaged, now I want to be made whole again. However, sometimes a party needs the courts to intervene before the harm is done, before the harm is done to avoid irreparable damage. Common law cannot act before the harm. There is another law that I mentioned ever so briefly a second ago, which is on the 15th slide, called the law of equity. This is where you can prevent somebody before the harm happens. You can prevent them from harming you. It's a supplement to common law. The judge can issue a restraining order or injunction to prevent the prospective perpetrator from acting before harm occurs. This is often referred to as prior restraint. Misuse of prior restraint can violate a publication's freedom of the press. As you will see in some cases that we're going to go over, judges, they will do anything in their power to avoid putting prior restraint on someone. They do not want to say that the jury cannot talk to the public. They do not want to say that the court cannot give out the defendant's, let's say the defendant claimed he was guilty, his guilty plea. But they really don't want to say stop this because they know how important the First Amendment is. I'm going to stop right here. Let's see. This is going to be for today. What we've done already is for, when I say today, I mean Tuesday, the 18th of August, 2020.